Welcome back into another episode of George in the Jungle, presented as always by Remington Tavern, brought to you from the Cincy Light Studios. You can check out Remington Tavern at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. You can check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy. That's REMITAV Cincy with a Y, or follow them on Facebook. While you're there, be sure to grab an ice cold Cincy Light on tap. You're doing yourself a disservice if you decided not to. All right, George, we are back to discuss the week that was Cincinnati sports. We can just start off right away with the Bearcats playing at Nippert Stadium in a scrimmage, an intra-squad scrimmage. We were looking for some offense this season, and I was there. We certainly saw the offense playing well. Brendan Sorsby and Brady Lichtenberg both had pretty good days. Defense, still looking to see if they can find that push on the defensive line. I thought coverage was okay, but I think that was a nod to the receiving core being a little bit deeper this season. But the very next day, or very next practice, I guess, I don't know if it was Sunday or Monday. I think it was Monday. They ended up having defense had a day. So there's still been lots of ups and downs for both sides of the ball. But on Saturday, it was a day for the offense. So any questions that you have?
Yeah, I didn't get to see the scrimmage. But yeah, I mean, you're concerned a little bit about what you said about the defensive line, but they're still in the stage, where they're still figuring all this stuff out. And I know they don't have a whole lot of time, but they're not necessarily preparing the way they would for a game with, certain – the coaches are looking for different things probably in each position group and – working on that. It's tough to really gauge with these camps. You see it with the Bengals too. I mean, the offense has a great day, and then the defense has. I mean, look at the Bengals camp when they started, and the defense was having the days, and then you see what happens in that preseason game. So as that relates to UC, it's just really tough to tell until you get out there against somebody else. But I am excited about what they've done offensively, and to me, it looks like that offensive line's really coming together as well because, they lost some experience on that line at the end of last season. But it seems like the guys they brought in, the Tahjs, Joe Cotton, guys like that, and then other kids that have been in the program that are developing, it seems like that's coming together pretty well. Did you get that impression from that scrimmage that things are going to be okay when it comes to that offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, the two that you mentioned right off the bat, Taran Tahj and Joe Cotton, both, they stand out. Just looking at the offensive line, they certainly stand out. They're big dudes, plain and simple. They're just big dudes. We have in past Bearcats teams, I feel like we had an offensive line that thrived on being just a little bit smaller and athletic and agile. I don't know that that's necessarily untrue of this line. They're just bigger and athletic and agile. Joe Cotton is built different. He wears his weight well, I guess, is the best way to put it. But I don't know. I think they're going to be okay. Then when you talk about guys like DeAndre Buford, him stepping up at his tackle spot, Gavin Gerhardt, just a staple of this offensive line. And then you got some of your younger kids coming up, an Evan Tengenstall who's been playing his butt off, Xavier Lozowicki as well, pushing for time anywhere he can try and find it. These guys they're all big. And it doesn't look like it did once upon a time where you see him step out there and you're like nervous that the other team is definitely going to just be bigger than them when they line up against the defensive line.
Yeah, and when you saw, 2 years ago, you'd see opposing teams come in the nipper from the Big 12, and you're like, holy God,
Right.
This team is big. They've got that now. And boy, they've also got some names on that offensive line too. And I wish I could rattle off all those names, but it seems like they have the depth to carry them through too. And I don't want to count too many chickens, but I was kind of worried about that coming into this whole thing. And, Tahj said in spring practice, maybe he didn't play his best because he was having to think too much to get used to all this outside zone blocking and things. He said they touched on at Ball State where he played, but, they ran a little bit of it, but it wasn't a steady diet of it. And he was having to get used to that. And it seems like he's made a hell of a jump from spring ball to where he is now, to where even the coaches, are singing praises that this guy's a dude we can bank on now. And that's good to hear because, when you bring in a kid out of the portal like that, you hope that's what you're getting. And it sounds like the coaching staff's pretty much at ease with what they have there.
Yeah, I see there's certainly room for improvement from last season as far as the offensive line goes. And obviously, the more time that you can give Brendan Swords to be back in the pocket, I mean, Saturday he had plenty of time in the pocket. So if you can continue to give him lots of time back there, I think that he's going to have probably a little bit more success, especially towards the back end of the season. If you can keep him upright, keep him from having to – obviously, he likes to scramble. We know he likes to scramble. I like watching him scramble. But
he's good at it.
I don't think that needs to be necessarily a priority if this offensive line can hold up.
Right. But I do want him to run if he's got something because he is pretty damn good at it. And that's a great weapon to have. Now, on the other side with the other line, that probably seems to be where the biggest concern is, but I still think they've got the dudes there that are going to be ready to go when the whistle blows against Nebraska.
Yeah. Obviously, the one spot that you're looking at on that defensive line is who's going to grab the third spot on Dante's other side. You've got Jalen Hunt, who's presumably going to be on the one side of Dante Corleone, but who's going to grab that other spot? Is it going to be CJ McRae? Is it going to be Marquez Parker? Is it going to be the guy with the hyphenated name who eludes me right now? Yeah, McLean White.
McLean White.
White McLean. There it is.
Yeah.
So many new faces.
But
But
like I said, there's some names on that offensive line with there's some lengthy names. It's almost like doing the tennis tournament with some of those names. But on the defensive side, it does seem like they have some candidates that have shown the flashes that maybe they'll be all right there. I hope they are. They really need to be, because it seems to me, the back half of that defense, or the back part of that defense, they're really getting it together. It looks like they got a lot of options in the defense backfield.
Right.
They have a lot of options with the linebackers. So I'm starting to buy in and get a little excited that this team might be a little better than the national perception is based on last season.
Well, you're seeing a lot more takeaways in practice than we saw last season anyway. So I don't know. I have certainly more faith this season in your defensive backfield than I did last year. Last year, we weren't sure. I don't know that we finished with more than 4 or 5 interceptions the entire year. So this year, we've seen Antoine Peak have a lot of success of late. I think he's leading the team right now in camp with interceptions. He's been a ball hawk. You figure between Matthew McDoom and Logan Wilson and Christian Harrison and Xavier Williams and Jaquan Sanks and or Monty Arnold. And I mean, there's just a bunch of guys back there now. I don't feel like we've had a bunch of guys back. Trey Gallagher, another one.
Right. Who may start or probably will
Right.
start, right? Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. I think there will be plenty of rotation back there. And I don't think it's going to be necessarily because you just need to get guys breaths. I think it's going to be because you have to find time for these guys on the field because they've proven that they can do it in practice.
And they're still moving these guys around. These safeties playing in different spots. And it was interesting to me that, they're probably not going to lock these guys in to set positions until they really start digging in on Nebraska and game planning for them. And I kind of like that way they're doing it because it gives everyone a chance to flash at different positions and give them ideas and maybe the faith to move some guys around a little bit if they have to. And there's always injuries in football, and they're going to be able to mix and match a lot better than what they've been able to do. And Lord knows a lot better than they were able to do 2 years ago when they were, we thought they had some good safeties and defensive backs, but man, it didn't work out. And then last year was like an overhaul, and, they were kind of short at that position, really, at least as far as, guys you could bank on. The frontline guys held up fairly well, but it seems like now they're going to be a lot better off this, third year into this program under Satterfield. Is it 3? I think
yes.
Well, they're finally getting that traction that you would like to see a program get.
It's not just that, but Jack Dingle talking about it yesterday when he was interviewed, or maybe it was Saturday. I don't know at this point. My days are all running together.
Wait till you get my age.
Yeah. But Jack Dingle talking about the fact that this is the first time in his career at UC that he's had a defensive coordinator 2 seasons in a row.
Isn't that crazy? I heard that.
It's crazy.
I had to step back and think, like, God, is that real? And
yeah.
It is.
So I don't know. I mean, I think there's something to be said for having the same scheme and building on what you had, especially last year. I know we talk about the fact that there wasn't a ton of takeaways last year, but I think that you look at just the fact that you're building on that. I thought the defense was pretty good. Not great, but pretty good on the back half of the season. So if you're able to build on that with especially the leaders that you have on this defense, I think that can spell nothing but improvement for this season going forward. So I don't know. And you talk about the depth. You also have to remember that they brought in 2 new secondary coaches in Adam Braithwaite and Eddie Hicks. So you have 2 guys to kind of breathe some new life into that room and see what you can get out of it while still being under the same scheme that you had last season. So maybe that spells some different stuff for this defense as well. So I don't know. Just I think there's plenty to be excited about defensively, and I'm trying real hard not to get out over my skis on everything.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to as well. You can't. I mean, we just don't know for sure yet. However, I do feel a lot better about the depth of this team than what they had last year, the year before. And you remember last year, that was Sorsley's first year here, right? So,
right.
I mean, he's going to be a lot more comfortable and looks a lot more comfortable and know a lot more of what he's doing. And it all starts there offensively. Then, completely flipping from offense, defense to special teams, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing there too.
Yeah, special teams, without getting really too – I guess we're not allowed to talk a ton about what we see as far as what special teams is doing in practice. But they're out there, they're practicing. First, second, third string is practicing on everything that they do. Like anytime they run a kickoff, they're running kickoff both sides, ones, twos, and threes. When they're running field goal, when they're running punts, it's all ones, twos, and threes. So they're not just out there kind of just running it to say they ran special teams and being done, which kind of felt like that's where they were.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because it was really bad. I don't know why you wouldn't have dedicated more time to it. Maybe they look, my time at practice, is well known that I've been limited as far as how many practices I've been able to get to over the course of the last several years, living so far away. However, when I've been there, it just never felt like a top priority, something that they were investing a ton of time in.
Well, it needs to be done, and hopefully that's what's going on now. But
yes,
it seems like they have
from what I've seen
ingredients to it. They got a kicker with a leg. How this dude ended up at Charlotte for a year. He seems like he's got a damn good leg. Then you got the younger Fletcher kid punting, and a long snapper that has some, real experience. That seems like that operation is going to work pretty well, and it's not going to be a work in progress during the season the way it's felt the last 2 years. I mean, special teams killed him.
Well, the long snapper did have time with Max Fletcher at Arkansas?
Arkansas. Yeah.
And as far as the kicker goes, he did miss a 57-yarder during the scrimmage, but he had the leg for it. He just missed it. Hooked it a little bit, pushed it a little bit. I'm not sure which.
Well, we were on he's praying for 30 yarders at one point.
A couple years ago, yeah.
Could have used one against Miami.
But I don't know. I feel good about special teams. I think that you're going to see far more energy there. Again, you have another new coach on staff taking over special teams, and Luke Pascal. So I think that there's plenty to be excited about there if you're into the hidden yards that is special teams. So
yeah, hopefully there's massive improvement there because it's needed. And it sounds like they at least have made a lot of moves to try to shore that up. And I don't know. It just feels like they're going to be ready to roll, but they're going to have to be ready to roll in game one because that's going to be a test. Nebraska's got a good coach, made a bowl game last year. They're not the Nebraska of the 70s and 80s, but that program is no joke. And meeting them out at Kansas City, that's going to be a tall task. But hopefully they're up for it. We're going to learn a lot from that game. I think it's not going to define who they are and be the be all end all, but it's going to give us a hell of a hint.
16 days from now, George, we will be 38 minutes past kickoff. So I'm excited. Can't wait.
I am too. I'm fired up to watch this team play.
So moving topics a little bit. Jordi Rodriguez becomes your newest Bearcat for the men's basketball team. He comes from Spain, a guy who's shooting roughly around 41%. From my understanding, I don't know that he can do a whole lot outside of shooting, but he's 6'6", and should come in maybe in that 2-3 spot. I don't know. Obviously there's some questions going on in regards to we don't know what's going to happen with Jizzle James.
Right.
Not sure yet. But you bring in another guy for that last roster spot that you already had open regardless. And it sounds like they got a guy who, at the very least, can shoot well.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice to have a dead-eye shooter out there? I mean, I think I saw he was 40+% in his, playing for his team in Spain, and that he was I guess they wanted him on the to play some on that senior team, but I guess he's coming back here to work out with the Bearcats, which makes sense for him, given that, he's not going to be a frontline player.
That was Baba.
Was it?
Yeah, they wanted Baba on the number one team, but from what I heard, if he went and did that, he wouldn't have gotten back here until like mid-September, late September.
And I wonder how much he would have played for that team.
He would have been like probably the 13th guy.
So there's no sense in doing that.
I mean, you'd love to get him the experience of playing, huh?
This Jordi kid seems legit to me, or Jordi, I guess, right?
Depends, George. That's up for debate.
Well, the good news is they can kick the tires on him and see, right?
Yeah, I mean, he can shoot. I think they're confident with that, but not sure.
If he can hold up at that level.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more physical. They're a lot more skilled, but American, especially college basketball, is a lot more physical than what they do in Europe. So just a matter of how well he adjusts.
Well, it's not like he's a necessity. It's kind of a luxury. So they can kind of let him come along at his own pace. The only thing I worry about with that is in today's game, hopefully he loves it here because the way players jump around, it's like you can't just assume a guy's going to develop 2 or 3 years here and become a frontline player. He may develop a year and end up somewhere else.
That's the world we live in.
Part about this game now. However, the Cincinnati program seemed to be doing a pretty good job on keeping the guys that they want to keep. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they've built something that most of the guys are interested in staying.
It would seem. So
yeah,
time will tell. Time will tell what this Jordi Rodriguez brings to the table, and I guess we're not sure yet what part of Spain he hails from. In one part of Spain, it would be pronounced Jordi Rodriguez, and another part, it would be pronounced, as you said, Jordi Rodriguez. We don't know yet. Something we got to ask him once he's on campus. But in any case, the last thing I wanted to talk about, I don't love talking about her ever. Because I'm not a fan, but I don't know if you saw that the New Heights podcast, Travis and Jason Kelce had Taylor Swift on finally for their debut episode of their new season of New Heights. And it also coincides with Travis being announced as the cover for this month's GQ magazine. So Travis,
I heard the part. That was the first thing I heard this morning on my streaming stuff when I yell at the little stream box to turn on the radio, and that was the first story I heard.
Travis is your face of GQ.
That's hilarious. I never would have predicted that 15 years ago when that dude was getting suspended at the UC. Things have come a long way since then, thank goodness, because we all make mistakes at that age. But I would say he's done very well for himself, and I'm happy for him. And that was, I guess, quite an announcement for Travis's girlfriend. I forget her name, but she had a big announcement on that podcast, right?
You forget Taylor Swift's name? For real?
Just kidding. I'm kidding. However, I cannot name one song by her.
That's fine.
I can't name one.
I'd rather not waste another second talking about her. In any case, your Cincinnati Bengals, they did play last week in their first preseason game, and they lose because that's what they do in preseason. I'm not surprised they lose. It's whatever. It was just the fashion in which they lost, and we'll get to that. But they lose 34-27. Joe Burrow leading all passers, 9 of 10, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns for a 157.5 rating. No big deal. Tahj Brooks leads all rushers for the Bengals, 10 passes, 26 yards. And Jamar Chase had 4 catches, 77 yards to lead all receivers, although Tanner Hudson with his 6 catches, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That was a nice day at the office for that young kid.
Yes, it was.
I'll start this out with your take. What stood out to you from this preseason game, George?
Well, number one, I know the Eagles didn't start a lot of defensive players.
Or offensive, for that matter.
Yeah, nobody, yeah. But Joe Burrow in that offense looked unstoppable. And it probably would have been a little different story against the number ones, maybe. But boy, oh boy, was that clicking. That looked so good. And quite honestly, the offensive line actually looked okay. They didn't open massive holes for the running backs, but I thought Chase Brown and Tahj Brooks both looked really good. There was one play I see, and it was right when Brooks got in, and it was like I don't know, but he chipped a linebacker, and I'm like, and I thought it was still Chase Brown in the game. I rolled it back, and I'm like, whoever did that did a nice job picking that up, and it made the play. Like, and I don't even know if they completed the pass, but the quarterback had enough time to get it off because this running back did that. And I'll be damned if it wasn't the rookie. And I'm like, this kid can play. Did he tear it up with yards, yards per carry? No, but he was very solid. And I thought, and Chase Brown has gotten that down too. I think that those guys are really good in helping in the pass game, even if it's just a block here and there. And I was really impressed with that out of a rookie. Tahj Brooks looked like he knew what he was doing. Chase Brown obviously knows what he's doing. I like that part of that, just to compliment, because we know who Joe Burrow is, and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And that throw, when that blitzer's coming unblocked to Joe, and he just knew that Chase was going to run that out, and puts it where he can take it and turn inside. And this is something on that quarterback show on Netflix that they were talking about, that they do and they've done since LSU, is Joe throws that ball in a certain area so Chase can cut inside around the defender behind him and take it to the house. And that's exactly what he did. That, I think it was a 36-yard touchdown, and that was just amazing. That play just should send shivers up the spine of every defense in the NFL. I mean, that's hard to defend right there. And it's hard to know which way Chase is going to go when he catches that ball in front of you and can go left or right. And he's just got that knack. That dude's so good. It's not even funny. All that stood out. I did feel like defensively they were getting gashed, man, up front. Gashed bad. I think they'll lock that down. I think, it's a preseason game. I don't want to excuse it. It's a concern a little bit at this point, but probably, the one guy you wanted to see on that defensive line to come out and showed something. I thought the first round pick looked pretty damn good.
I agree.
Now, he's got to finish some plays, but he did when he nailed that running back behind the line of scrimmage. That was a great play. I thought he made some disruptive plays and was a bit of a problem. And if he can, find a way to finish those plays that maybe he didn't finish in college, because, I mean, it's tough to get through your career with 4.5 sacks and be a first-round pick as an edge guy in the NFL, but he certainly looks the part. Cam Sample played pretty well. Hopefully he stays healthy. But, yeah, they got gashed in that run game, and that was ugly. But sometimes that happens in these preseason games, and you're out there for the first time with live bullets, and you're playing a rookie linebacker and then another rookie linebacker. Sometimes that'll happen. And rookie and, second-year guys on the line, hopefully they get that together. They're going to have to. Or this season's going to be what we thought it would be in the offseason, and that is a track meet every game. They're just going to have to outscore people. But we'll see. We're going to see where they're at. And this next game will tell us a little more, because I think the starters are going to play quite a bit in this game. But it's just hard to tell when Philly throws no one out there. But those are the things, and then let's see. I thought, the secondary probably wasn't as good as we were hoping either. That's got to tighten up, but they were missing a couple of key pieces there. But still, that's got to tighten up.
I would assume that once you get Trey Hendrickson under contract, I still think that's coming before kickoff game 1. You get him back. You get B.J. Hill back from injury. You get Cam Taylor-Britt back from injury. You get Dax Hill back from injury. Then we find out that Geno Stone's also injured. There's a lot of dudes right there. That's 5 starters that you're missing that you would have under probably normal circumstances. You're probably looking at having all of them back, I would think, by game 1. Maybe not Geno Stone. I feel like there's conflicting reports out there right now about him.
Yeah, I hope so, though.
We'll see. But that's a lot for your defense to be missing. You also wonder how much Al Golden's even throwing out there on tape with what they're wanting to run versus in a game situation as opposed
Right.
to preseason. You're not wanting to just throw everything out there. He says that he was just looking for positional one-on-one battles. Who's winning? Who's not winning? So lots to be said there. How about Desmond Ridder having a game? Because I think he looked better than Jake Browning. I loved the fact that his first pass was a 48-yard bomb, which
is great.
Unfortunately, it was a little underthrown. Otherwise, Jamoy Mays might still be running. But the Bearcat to Bearcat connection was real.
Yeah.
And Jamoy Mays ends up your third leading receiver with that one catch for 48 yards. He adjusted to the ball on the bit of an underthrow. Des, we know he's not known for his deep ball, but he ended up getting it there, and you got the completion. Big yards.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that hookup for the touchdown with Tanner Hudson. Sweet. That was a great throw. Good catch by Hudson, too. But, man, oh, man, he put that where that dude could catch it in the end zone and have no worry about the defender getting there. That was a great throw. I thought Ridder looked really, really good. And I mean, what they're going to he's not going to pass, I don't think. Jake Browning is the main backup, but I think the Bengals, they're going to let it play out. And I think they've got a really good backup because I got to think, I could be wrong, but they're probably thinking Browning's out of here after this year. It'd be nice to have Des Ridder around as a backup quarterback for a few years because I thought he looked pretty good and was kind of in command of what he was doing. And so I thought he did terrific. I was really pleased with how he ran the show.
I will be very curious to see who the first quarterback is in for Joe Burrow in this next game. And look, I don't know that Jake Browning gave you anything to write home about in this game when you go 6.
No, but he's got a longer track record with the team, and when he played with the frontline guys, he performed adequately or better than adequately.
We'll see. 6 of 14 for 62 yards was not impressive against whoever they had out there at that point. Whether it was their second, whether it was their second or third string.
Negate everything he's done up to this point, though.
Well,
I think the real game experience is what they're looking at. But I also think they didn't just bring Dez in because he's a guy who played at UC and is a local favorite and all that. I mean, that doesn't hurt, but I don't think that's why they brought him in. I think they brought him in to give him a shot, and they're hoping that maybe he can be a bit of an answer for them, depending on what ends up happening with Jake Browning. And maybe if Browning just, screws up the entire camp, yeah, but you can't just throw out everything he's done up to this point when he's been in real live frontline NFL games.
I will be very curious to see how this plays out because I think that Des put himself in a real nice position to battle.
I agree. I do agree.
Outside of that, I don't know that I had too much else. DJ Ivy looked really bad. DJ Turner, he struggled some. Those are things you don't like to see about guys who may have some significant playing time from your secondary. I know you touched on that already. I'm just when the lights come on in game one, I think that all eyes are going to be on this defense, even more so than the offense. Even more so than the offense, which because with the offense we've come to know, we have expectations, lofty expectations for this offense. While they're out there, they're going to put on a show. It's still going to be the defense that we're all biting our nails and on the edge of our seats, hoping that they just do something, anything.
Yeah, no, you're right. Just stop someone. Offensive line looked okay. I think the rookie played well.
Fairchild, yeah.
Yep. Mims, he's got to stay healthy. Mims has got to – that's been the knock. Even in college, he didn't play a lot of games. But I think that, he's got a bright future as long as he has the health. So I think that's two young guys. Orlando Brown's going to be fine as long as he's healthy. I think this line with what they've patched, and they're still going to be looking like these final cuts. I'm not going to be shocked if there's a guard out there, an interior lineman that they bring in, when final cuts are made and stuff. They're going to keep their eyes open on that. But
I didn't think Lucas Patrick looked good.
As guard.
I didn't think Lucas Patrick looked good at all.
No, he did not. But you got Cody Ford to command that spot.
Potentially.
Yeah. But they will be looking, I think. But I felt the rookie, it seems like he held up pretty well. So that's good. And your man, Charlie Jones. Healthy now, but is he going to stay healthy? I don't know. Hopefully he is.
Just a guy.
And Jermaine Burton dealing with a knee issue, I guess. But we'll see. He's been having a good camp, so I hope he's healthy.
Right.
They got a crap ton of receivers to choose from. That's going to be some fun cuts when the time comes.
Yeah. As far as special teams, Evan McPherson, he was 2 for 2 from field goals, his long of 51, 3 extra points. And then Ryan Rehkow, an average of 45 on his 5 punts. 54 was his long. He looks in midseason form. Evan McPherson looks like he's back. I don't know if it's too early to say that about special teams for both these guys, but I felt good watching both of them kick the ball.
No doubt about it. Finding that Rehkow guy the way they did last year was what a great find that was. After you draft a guy who doesn't work out, and this dude falls in your lap like I shouldn't say falls in your lap because I'm sure Darren Simmons spotted this guy and said that's a dude we need to get in. So I shouldn't say they lucked out on that, but it's always nice to find a rookie punter that can come in and do what that kid did, and he looks like a keeper.
I don't have anything else left on the Bengals unless you do.
No, we'll see what happens in Washington Monday night, but can't wait to see it. Hopefully it's a little better than what hopefully the defense looks a little better against the Commanders. They won't have to go up against Jaden Daniels the whole game, but my God, that game here last year, that's where I'm like, holy God, they're in trouble. The Bengals. When they lost that Monday nighter at home to Washington, so they got them right coming up Monday night.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Washington.
If you're into betting on preseason games, Cincinnati's favored by 4, so we'll see.
Oh man, really?
Yep.
I guess that's predicated on Burrow playing maybe most, if not all, the first half, right?
I don't know, but I will never ever touch a preseason game.
I might bet this one.
You go right ahead.
4 if Burrow's going to play it half.
Let me know how that works for you.
You'll know.
The Cincinnati Reds. I don't know what they're doing, George. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they know what they're doing.
Scoring until tonight, and Sunday they scored.
Yeah. Well,
yes, they did. Good.
I thought that when you popped in the room, I thought you had waited until the final pitch of the final out because
I was listening on the radio, and I was driving home and listening on the radio. Stinger pitched well, which is great. I wish it hadn't rained so he could have come back out for the 7th inning. But they're I hate to say like they're hanging in there, but they kind of are. I mean, the Mets have been so bad.
Well, so the Reds did what we were kind of worried that they were going to do. They take 2 of 3 from the Cubs, and then they split a 4-game series with the Pirates in Pittsburgh, where they just can't win. They can't win in Pittsburgh for whatever reason. I don't understand it. It's gross. It's disgusting, especially with the teams that Pittsburgh's been throwing out there the last several years. That all said, Pittsburgh took them out 7-0 in the opener of that series. They 3-2 in the second game, and then the Reds win 2-1 and 14-8 on Sunday. Just weird games, all of them. It felt like there was, especially the ones that they lost. There seemed like there was like a play or two that just kind of got away from them. Although that 7-0 one, it was Paul Skeens just being Paul Skeens. So take that for what it is. But the 14-8 game there were some wild things happening in that game.
That was crazy
for both teams.
Back on that game, man.
And then Philly takes the opener of this home game, a game in which Snoop Dogg performed after the game.
That's right.
But again, there was just some weird stuff that happened in that Phillies game where you're just wondering what's going on defensively with this team. But then tonight they come back and they were up 6-0 until Bryce Harper in the rain hits a 9th inning home run to ruin the shutout. But here they are. They are right now. They're not getting the division. They're 12.5 back on Milwaukee.
Oh my God, Milwaukee, and they got to play the Brewers this weekend and hold on to your hats. And that's a problem with the Reds. They can't hang in the division race because they can't beat Milwaukee. They don't beat Pittsburgh the way they should beat Pittsburgh. They don't beat St. Louis. How are you going to win the division if you keep doing that? And that's been going on for a while. They can't beat teams in the division.
Well, and 5-5 in your last 10, you're just hovering around right there at 500 when you're up, 5 games, you end up losing 2 or 3, and then you got to play catch up. It's a strange thing. But
hopefully Hunter Green comes out tomorrow night and throws a hell of a game against the Phillies. I'm not banking on that. I don't even know if I'm expecting that. I don't know what they're going to get out of him. I'm glad he's back. I hope he's healthy. And if he is, he's going to help this team. But we'll see how that shakes out. It'd be nice to take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies and feel like you have some momentum going into Milwaukee. But Milwaukee is so hot right now. I don't know. They got to cool down, right? I mean, I wrote down some
10 in a row.
Yeah, going in. So did they win again tonight?
They've won 10 in a row.
Because, they're winning 12-0 against the Pirates. So that's going to be wins in 14 of their last 15 games. 20. They'll be 26-4 since July 6th if this 12-run lead stands up. These are ridiculous stats. This year alone, and I don't even know, this may be since June or sometime in June. They have an 8-game winning streak, an 11-game winning streak, and now it'll be another 11-game winning streak after they win tonight. That's unbelievable. How is that happening?
I would take one of those winning streaks, just one.
Right. That's all the Reds need is one of those. If they could reel off a 10, 11-game streak right now, they'd be right there. Hell, they'd probably, the way the Mets have been struggling. But, I read those I put too much stock in those playoff chances and all that. And Fangraphs still has them at like a 9 or 10% chance to make the playoffs. I think it's better than that. But then you look at their projections on total wins, and they're right about 82. And if that's right, they probably will miss. I don't know. But it's just they've got to hit the ball more consistently and score runs more consistently. And, at this point in the season, you're kind of hoping against hope. The Andujar guy has been a really good addition for them. He may help in that department. I don't know if Hayes is going to help in that department. He's never really been known as that kind of a player with the bat, but he has helped with the glove. That game where when was that when the runner missed the bag at first and and Hayes
Chicago.
Yeah, that was crazy. But that was a great play at third base by Hayes to make the guy hustle, and he missed the bag and then drug his toe across it after he was already out. That was a hell of a play by that kid. That won the game, basically. I mean, there's a lot of plays in a close game that win it, but that was certainly one of them. So that helps the defense you're worried about. I think the move to Marte to right field has been a total home run for the Reds, and he could be nailing that position down for years to come. Who knows? But it seems to rejuvenate his bat, and he's not worried about making errors at third base now, and has actually done a credible job out there in right field.
Well, and that's where I'm almost. I hate that Will Benson got sent back down to AAA. I feel like he had been producing. I don't know. I mean, I believe he was in Cleveland when he got traded to the Reds. So I don't know if him and Tito just don't get along.
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know if there's anything to be said for that.
There could be. There could be.
You wonder if
I would be surprised because there's, they both seem like pretty upbeat guys, but you never know.
I just don't understand how there's not a spot for him and his bat up here. I don't love Espinal. I know yesterday they moved McLean down from the 2 spot to the 8 hole.
Yeah, that needed to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it needed to happen.
Well, and even today he was in the 7 hole and he had 3 strikeouts, going 1 for 4. He did score a run, but that Matt McLean's been struggling. At this point, I feel like you got to figure out who your best hitters are, your 9 best hitters, and those should be the guys starting. Figure out the positions as you have to. But if he's your best option at second base simply because of his glove, I don't think that should be how you're making that decision. I almost wonder if you should be playing Gavin Lux a little bit at second base to spell Matt McLean.
Cover off the ball here lately, so he's been stinging it pretty good. And I was thinking the same thing. I mean, it's getting to the point, and you got to win games. You got to. I mean, there's no. They're at that point now in the season. You got to put your best 8 out there, best 9. Whoever the hell's pitching, but you got to have that. You got to put your best guys out there, and I think Francona will. I think he honestly is trying to do that, but they got to think about that. And Hayes has kind of gone in a funk here. I don't know what's going on with him. He was so hot for a while and has really looked good most of the year, but now lately he's been struggling too. And if he's struggling, they got problems.
Yeah, Anwar had a home
scoring. I mean, if you go back, so tonight they did score more than 2 runs. So they've done it like twice in the last 8 games or 7 games or something. I mean, you can't win that way. You can't win. And they did win one of those games 2-1.
Which is why it blows my mind that we're putting Espinal in situational batting positions late in games where you're pinch hitting him in. I don't.
Well, for a while there, he was playing pretty darn well. And then you look at the other options, right?
Matt says he can't stand when they put Lux in left field.
He's a little ham-fisted out there. I think Lux can't stand it either.
He thinks Benson should get more time in left field as well. I agree. But he'd have to be in the big leagues instead of in AAA where he's currently at. I don't know. I'm anxious to get to September call-ups at this point because Benson will be back. I think Sal Stewart will be up here, and I think that you all automatically have some better guys up here in situational batting positions than what you currently have on your bench.
Well, I just hopefully they hang in there till then. I don't know if that's going to be the be-all, end-all for them. I mean, what sucks is a lot of your payroll goes into starting pitching and pitching in general. When you break down the positions, probably starting pitchers make more than anyone. So the Reds, you would think, would struggle in that department, but their pitching's been more than good enough. It's the run scoring where they've gone awry this year. And It doesn't make sense, but that's where they're at. That is where they are at.
As things stand here at 10:10 on Tuesday night, they are 2 games back in the wild card, so we'll see. You won tonight. Figure out how to win the series.
Yeah, and I know I brought up those playoff chances, and it's like 9.9%, 10%. But a lot of that's predicated on what you have left. And their second half schedule was probably the toughest in baseball, certainly in the National League. And that's why it's that way. And, they got to win 2 out of 3. They got to win tomorrow and take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. They do that, and they'll be in an okay spot.
Well, FC Cincinnati also played on Sunday, so you had 3 teams playing on Sunday: the Bengals, the Reds, and FC Cincinnati. And FC Cincinnati loses 1-0 to Charlotte. They're back to not scoring, George.
Yeah, they are.
Not great.
And they had some chances. They had chances and didn't convert, and that's why they lost that game. I know, they had the player go out with the red card and give up a goal late, probably because of that. And that sucks. And that was unfortunate. There's, they didn't like it. And I get it, but you also, it's tough to complain when you have those chances and you don't convert. I mean,
yeah, you had 7 shots on goal compared to 3 by Charlotte, 17 shot attempts, and you end up with 4 yellow cards, a red card. Just not a great day at the office here. Only 2 saves.
No, and that's not like them, since Noonan's been coaching them. It's not like them to kind of defeat themselves. And I feel like they kind of did that. That's probably the second one of those they've had here recently. And so that's got to eat at him. They're still in a good spot, but man, there's a lot of there's a lot of give and take left to go this season where they could stay in a good spot or they could slide down those standings. It's pretty close. But they are still second place?
They are still second place.
They
49 points.
You want first, but you can't finish first every year, but that would put them in a good spot in the playoffs.
You're 49 points to Philadelphia's 51, both of you with 26 games played. You still have Miami way back there at 42, but they've only played 23 games. And Columbus is at 44 with 25 games played. They're still it's a bottleneck.
Columbus has been a colossal pain in their ass.
Yeah, it's a bottleneck though. You got Nashville at 47 points, Orlando at 44, Columbus at 44, right. Miami at 42. There's just a lot of teams right there at the top.
Yeah. Right. I mean, they want you. You got to lock in as many home playoff games as you can, but they're in a weird position where it can swing in a hurry over these last. We got about 2 months in the regular season. They got 8 matches left or something. It's going to be wild. It's pretty interesting.
Well, you got Portland here on Saturday. When I say here, I
think they're at Portland.
Actually, in Portland.
I saw a late start on that.
Because soccer lists the home team first.
I know that just when I really started paying attention to it when FC Cincinnati came around. It's like, how many times that screwed me over when I'm like, oh, they're home this week. Oh, no, it's like opposite. Oh my God. I just think I'm sorry. Soccer in America, the home team should be listed second. I'm sorry. That's just what every fan. I know there were plenty of fans that follow it in Europe, but I'm sorry. If you're asking me to know what the hell's going on, then we got to be consistent with every other freaking sport.
Portland is what, 6th place? Yeah, 6th place in the Western Conference. So we'll see. Right now, Portland's at plus 160 to win. Cincinnati's at plus 145, and the draw is at plus 250. So you got to start winning games again. That's how you get back to the top of the table, and you got to do that by scoring goals. You can't be going back into that, scoring one, scoring none, and hoping that your defense can just win it all for you.
Right, and they've got some scores. That's what's weird. I mean, they've got some guys that can put it in the net. They just got to start doing it, and hopefully they do.
Yeah, you're at plus 7 on your goal differential for the season, so start making that number bigger. I see.
Yep. Amen to that.
Other than that, George, high school football is right around the corner.
Yeah, it is, and I got to start looking into that. I know scrimmages again this week, and then following week, man, they're kicking off.
All right. Well, that'll wrap things up for us here this week on George in the Jungle. Hopefully, George doesn't have any golf that continues to delay him past our 9 o'clock starts. But we do.
I'm sorry.
We do thank our sponsors. We do thank our sponsor, Cincy Light and Remington Tavern, for continuing to support our show. Be sure to check out Remington Tavern at 8892 Glendale Milford Road, 45140, where they have their daily happy hour from 3 to 7 p.m., $5 bourbon whiskey Wednesdays, bottle cap bonanza Thursdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Check them out on Instagram at RemyTavCincy or follow them on Facebook. Be sure to have an ice cold Cincy Light while you're there. But for George Vogel, I'm Aaron Smith. We'll be back here next Tuesday, 9 p.m., doing it all over again, checking out all of your Cincinnati sports.
Thank you, Aaron.